tennis player in the world that uses that in competition. Now, there are people that make trick shot videos and they do it, and it's all. And I always just look at the videos. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then I'm like, yeah, you did that. You did that on your backcourt, and that was about the 50th time you tried it. And why don't you try doing that when you're serving for a gold medal?
At the Olympics.
Yeah, at the Olympics. It's a little bit different. So
does that just blow people's mind when they're in the stands? They see you do that, they're like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, exactly. It's
I would say that.
It's definitely been my calling card in the sport and internationally, and
that's a unique serve, man.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It gets a lot of media attention and different things like that for certainly.
Out of curiosity, do you wear like a unique shoe? Do you go barefoot? What do you
No,
do
not barefoot.
Yeah.
I tend to wear old shoes. I got
Chuck Taylors or what?
No. Just shoes that I've had for a long time. Like the ones that I have on today, I've had these for about 4 months, and I still haven't got them broken enough to where I feel comfortable doing it. I mean, I could right now set the ball on my foot and toss it perfectly. But it's one of those things where I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be absolutely automatic, where I'm not thinking about it at all. Because if I'm thinking about that when I'm playing a match, I'm thinking about the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So I'm still using my shoes that I actually got a pair of shoes, a pair of Nike shoes from on the way to Rio. And my shoes before that were really ratty and old. And my dad was so mad at me for continuing to use them because it just makes me look not good. And I got them, and they were soft enough. They were like a running shoe that was real cloth-like material. They were soft enough they worked right off the bat. They were one of the only pairs of shoes I've ever had that just worked immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing in those things. And they're completely, the stitching is ripped out. I mean, the laces are falling out. I mean, they're horrible looking, but they work. So I'm hoping by my next tournaments in March I'll be able to use these other shoes that I'm wearing right now, but I'm still getting them broken in.
Right.
So
yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you brought up the serve. That makes me want to pull the video right now and see that.
Later. You should pull it. It's for anybody that wants to watch. If and not only the serve, but just how I play. I have to hold onto the racket completely backwards. Anybody that's a tennis player is going to look at it and go, "What in the hell are you doing, dude?" Because you're holding onto the racket completely backwards. So it's just the way my hands are. It's the only way it works. But if you just YouTube Nick Taylor and tennis, you'll find lots of video. There's a lot.
I'm going to do that as soon as I get home today.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to do that as soon as I get home.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos, not just a couple. So you can, and plenty of, videos that I don't even know who took them and how they got there. But one of the coolest ones I can't find it now. They posted on my Facebook page, but it was a guy from Japan, and he did a slow-mo of my serve, and it was pretty cool. So we reenacted it for the Wichita State tennis page, the slow-mo of me serving. So it's on there. It's on our Instagram and on our. It might be on our Facebook page too. But but anyways.
So tell me about so you had that build up. So about a 7-year build up, 8-year build up, right? To your first Olympics. How did you get invited? So it's from the Open? Is it from competing in the US Open and then
it's so the way wheelchair tennis works, it's it's not like a sport like basketball or something like that where there's team tryouts and you have to make the team. It's all based off of international ranking.
Okay.
That's it. That's all that matters. So, for the last 4 Paralympic games that I've qualified for, to qualify, I've had to be within the top 12 in the world in the world rankings, and on top of that, one of the top 3 Americans. So, because Olympics and Paralympics is very much about geography and spreading the draw out around the world. Yeah. So the best example of that is the Dutch women. For a long time, they completely dominated the sport of wheelchair tennis, and so there would be women that in the world rankings that were ranked between 5 and 8 in the world, and they wouldn't get to go because there was too many other Dutch girls ahead of them. Yeah. So, and within wheelchair tennis, there's always been a 4th guy from the United States that hasn't got to go, and sometimes they have been in the top 12. And it's been different people each time, but they didn't get to go, and they if it was just strictly by top 12 in the world, they might have got in. So
this might be a dumb question, but that top 12 in the world and the top 3 in the U.S. you said, is that built up over the course of the like 3 years or?
No, it is built up. So our world rankings in wheelchair tennis. So I just got back from Arizona. In Arizona, I won singles and doubles.
Okay.
So in the singles ranking, so singles and doubles rankings are two completely separate rankings. They have no bearing on each other in any way. But in singles, I earned 120 points towards my world ranking at that tournament.
Okay.
Those points last 52 weeks. After 52 weeks, they fall off again. They're gone. So I need to go re-earn them again. And the way it works is there's a ranking cutoff before each Paralympics. It's usually sometime in midsummer, early to midsummer, sometime in May or June, the year of the Paralympics, and it's whatever the rankings are as of that day. So essentially you just do the math and you go back 52 weeks prior to that, and those 52 weeks, that's where you're trying to earn your points. That's what you're trying to do. So, gotcha. And it's solely, within those times. So, it's got its advantages and disadvantages to qualifying. It's got its disadvantages in, you got to travel a whole lot.
You travel a lot.
Yeah, I'm traveling. Day. Yeah, I'm traveling 15 to 20 weeks a year to try to qualify, and I will be doing.
Oh my god!
And I will be doing the same thing for Tokyo for 2020. For tennis, assuming I go for it, which at this point I am. I'll be doing the exact same thing, and it will start this June, because it'll be this June to June of 2020, and that's a big disadvantage. The advantage that we have over some other sports, things like track and field, you got one event, and you better do good.
Yeah.
And so, you can work so hard and then just have one off day, and it doesn't matter. At least with us, if we have an off week, there's a tournament the next week, that we're going to maybe get the points the next week.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really, really long grind, but at the same time, at least there's a few opportunities.
Do you enjoy the amount of travel? I mean, you said 15, 20 weeks out of the year. So that's a lot of travel.
Yeah. So I've gotten to the point where I enjoy traveling, and I enjoy seeing places, and the thing that means the most is the people and the friends that I've met. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when I say that, I enjoy the places once I get there.
Yeah.
I absolutely I've just gotten to the point I'm just miserable flying. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I just do not like it. So and I know you're going to say, well, then, what the heck are you doing? Well, it's one of the negatives. You got to do it. You aren't getting to Australia any other way. So and it's also to the point where my general rule is if there's not an ocean between me and where I'm going, I'm driving. So I drive I've driven to California. I don't know. I think like 10 or 12 times now.
How do you drive? How do you get in the?
So I have a van that has a ramp that comes down out of the side of it.
Okay.
And then a seat that I transfer into that sits right next to my wheelchair.
Okay.
And then that seat, it actually, it moves. It can swivel, and it can move forward and back and even up and down. I don't use it to go up and down, but so I transfer into the seat, and then swivel around. I slide forward. My legs work good enough to be able to do the gas and the brakes just like you would. They make joysticks that will also do the gas and the brake. I just don't happen to need one.
Right.
And then on my left side, there's a control panel that does everything but drive the car. So turns the car on, switches gears, blinkers, all those types of things. Cause my arms are so short and I can't raise them up. I can't reach anything. I can't reach the controls to do the blinker or the windshield wipers or anything. So that's what that panel does.
Yeah.
And then in my right hand is a joystick, similar to my wheelchair. And basically the joystick's connected to a motor, and that motor is directly connected to the steering column of the van. And so when I pull the joystick to the left, the steering wheel actually spins to the left.
That's one heck of a setup.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny to do to people like sitting at a stoplight or whatever, because they can't see the joystick, and so they're just. I'll look over and I can see they're just sitting there, just looking at me, going, "What? How is this working?" And then I just kind of look at them and I give them a little "What's up?" and then I pull the joystick and the wheel just spins magically all by itself, and it just completely.
Is he doing that with his knees?
Yeah. What's he doing? Yeah. I've my joke always when people first get in the car is I tell them that it's all it's the newest technology, and that it's all that I just think where I want to go and that it goes. And I always tell them that it can be really bad if there's a really pretty girl jogging down the road, because if I take a look at her, I might drive up on the sidewalk. So unfortunately for them, they will remain nameless, but there's been a few people that have actually fallen for it. And I've actually convinced them for about 5 or 10 minutes driving in the car that I'm thinking where I want to go. And then they finally look at the hand and they see my hand moving. But I can do it pretty subtly. So, especially if it doesn't involve any major turns, then
I'm pretty gullible. You probably could have got me with that.
Yeah, it's pretty. The funniest was one time I did it to one of the tennis players when he was a freshman, and he went into practice and told the entire team how cool it was that Nick's van drove with his mind, and they never let that kid live that down.
So you get your points, and then you get like a written invite, just letter in the mail, like, hey, you made it to the Olympics.
Essentially, yeah.
And
that
must have been an exciting moment for you. All that hard work, years and years and years. Yeah. And where was the first Olympics at? You said 2004? Athens. Yeah. Tell me about arriving in Athens. What was that experience like? And driving on to the floor.
Yeah. I always say that the two favorite moments of all 4 games was, well, 3 of them, I guess I should say. Winning the gold medal, because I won a gold in Athens, Beijing, and London.
Oh, did you really? Wow, man.
And the other one was rolling out of the tunnel in the stadium at opening ceremonies and hearing United States of America call, and rolling out there and know that you're not only representing the United States, but also I'm representing Kansas, Wichita State. All of my friends and family and coaches that have put so much effort into me to getting there. It's not just me. It's a lot of people have helped me so much along the way. So it's just an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah. I bet there's a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely,
a lot of pride in that. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So yeah, absolutely, a ton of pride in that.
Yeah. How exciting, man! I can't imagine just rolling onto that floor with that many people, and not only people, but all the televisions,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so, going to that very first competition, were you pretty nervous, like going into it in Athens, like the very first match, or were you feeling pretty confident about yourself?
I was fairly nervous, but I fortunately I had a match against a guy that I'd played a number of times, and I knew I had a pretty good chance of winning as long as I played well.
It helps with the confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is in Athens, there was nobody there that it wasn't their first time, because it was the first time the division had been in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I'm going up. It wasn't like in Rio. In the first round of my first round of singles in Rio, I was playing a guy that this is my 4th Paralympics and this is his first.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. So so there was definitely nerves, and I wanted to do well, but I don't remember the scores, but I know I got through it pretty easily.
Yeah.
That first one. So
yeah, and it's one of those things too, where like once the game starts, you're not thinking about how worried you are anymore. About
Exactly.
Any of that. Yeah, you're just relying on your instincts. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once the ceremony, everything was done, you got the gold medal. Like, what was the celebration like after that? Going into Athens, you explore around and all that stuff.
I went around a little bit. I saw the Parthenon and different things like that, but I didn't. In each of the Paralympics, I haven't done much I didn't get to do much sightseeing. I didn't do a whole lot. I'd say London, I probably did the most, just because I knew London and I was comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go out a little bit, but I'd already been there plenty of times. So, and that was in 2012. Beijing, we really only left one day, and that was to go to the Great Wall for a few hours, and that was it.
Is it an accessibility thing, or is it just like you're so drained, or is it just timelines?
All of the above. It's just timelines, and you're and all the days that you're my buddy that went with me. When I travel, someone always goes with me because I have to have help. So for many years it was my dad, but he doesn't go as much now because of his health. He still goes some, but he really can't fly much at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.